Okay, guys, I am literally upset because I don't know why I have this problem with my Fedora distribution. I don't know why. The first time that I try to record some video is just freezed sometimes, and all the record is just fucked up. So this is the second time I'm trying to record this. So I hope this video will helpful. And okay, let's go back. Okay, welcome to this new episode of our Express course. In this lesson, we are going to continue with what I already done in the last episode about how to import files in a dynamic way that allows to configure express routes or express endpoints in a dynamic way. It's not something like this because this, if we use programming paradigms, this is like a well, explicit or okay. Let me see because I don't remember the concept. We are using imperative paradigm. That means that as we wrote code, we already done that code. It's just like explicit. Hey, this is the endpoint, this is the function handler, and that's all. And we try to read each of these routes and just configure the app or express object to register or just set up the each endpoint of the express application of the express app. So in this lesson I try to go back so some correction because I don't know the last time I didn't notice or the linter doesn't help me to notice some syntax or linter errors somewhere or something like in this case. I don't know why I'm using this response like an object or a class that it doesn't is. It's just like a type. So we have to use type in this case. And of course, I already done this solution because I don't know why, to be honest. Biome or the linter tool from Biome tells me, hey, use please for of I don't know how to say this for of the structure instead of the for each function. So well, if you tell me, I'll do it. So this is something similar. It's just like the for, and maybe if you are not familiar with the for of syntax, it's pretty easy. It's just like we have an array, for example, 1 2 3, and we use of okay, I'm sorry, I can use this in this way because this should be an object. So let me see what can I do. No, okay, this example is not useful at all. I have to use something like this because we need a reference. We don't need the value itself. So let me take this one, just save like numbers, for example, and use number of numbers. Okay, that's right. So inside this expression, we are going to use or repeat one instruction, or well, all the instructions instead of the inside this structure, and repeat each time as we have elements in the array. So for example, if we have 3 elements inside this array, we are going to execute the same operation 3 times. For example, it's just like console log. Of course, we are going to display a number inside the number inside the object 3 times. So we are going to see 1 2 3, and yeah, that's it. Okay, this we are, if maybe if you're asking what we are going to see if we use this console log, it's pretty easy. We are going to see an object with an attribute number and the value 1, another object with attribute number and the value 2, and go on to the 3, and yeah, that's all. So we are going to do something like that, in this case using the explicit destructuring route and handler. Remember that we also can use just an object name. It's not that object itself. Is remember is a array that has at the first position the endpoint and the second one the function handler. So we can change this in the way like I don't know route, and instead of use route or route handler, we have to use we have to use the first element of the array and the second element of the array. Change this reference and that's all. But well, it's not good looking at all. So I prefer to use the other one is use the structuring and assign different names, and in this way it's pretty readable. So yeah, we reach the part that the the last time when my PC just freeze up. So I hope this was helpful. And after that, we are going to do the following exercise. First of all, I want to show you what can I do import dynamically files, because the last times we see the files from this root. So let me see something. Well, this doesn't encourage us. You are going to try this one. So let me see, because I don't remember the script. So of course we have the dep that use the hot reload module. So okay, let me see, open the terminal and see what's happened. Okay, I'm going to use this alias. And as you can see, we have as result the absolute path from both files inside the root folder. And okay, I want to show you something about how to import these these files dynamically. Okay, first of all, I want you to notice these files are empty. We don't have information. So let's start trying to import these files and see what are inside of them. So we have the result just right there, but we have to import. Once we already have this path, I don't remember if I think the full path is better than the relative path, because the relative path is just dot dot slash dot dot, and I think depending on the context, the relative path is not useful at all. So we are going to use the absolute path. And in this case, it's just like, I don't know, file, and we have to use the import function. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. No, I know you are familiar with import, but at the beginning of the file. But also, import is a function. Well, in this case, import is an object, but also import is a function that allows to import files or modules after the beginning of the file. Because if you try to, I don't know, if you try to use this express well, okay, even better, suppose you are going to export, I don't know, party from party package, I don't know, and you need party inside this function over there. You don't need the function in this section, neither in this section, and you need that function just right there. Why do you need that function inside of it? Well, depending. In this context, we need import dynamically because we don't know the absolute path of the files. But depending on the context, we can also import dynamically if we don't import if we don't or if we don't want import the module that we know that we are not going to use in all the application. It's like, okay, depending, for example, if you need a package only in a environment scenario, I'm sorry, if you need a package in a development environment, okay, we need to use import, because in the production environment we are not longer need that package. So in this case, we're going to use import and pass as result. Let me see. Okay, in this case, we are going to use plural name and use a for of structure result of results. And after that, we are going to use const file. We already done a white import result. So let's see what happened once we import this file in this way. I don't know, so let me use the console log and see what's happened. File, of course. And as you can see, we have this strange kind of object, but as you can see, we have null property because the file is empty, or is supposed to be empty. So let's try to add some information. I think it's important just to know, maybe use the file the file name just to know what are importing from what or from where. So let me see if I don't know if we have the property, to be honest. I this is the import. Okay, we don't have even the type. So let's see something like this. Console log and just a file result. No, this is the okay. I'm sorry. File result. Result of the result. Okay, that's right. File result is the file name, and after that is the file itself. So let's try it again. And as you can see, okay, we have the chrysler.ts and the module null prototype. So for example, let's try to export something in a different ways, because remember we can export by default. We can export as no, I don't know, general like this. So let's try in the general way what we can see in this case. So I don't know, name Chrysler, for example. In this case, only can use model instead. Okay, I'm sorry, because I can use this because this is not okay. I already remember this is not that an object itself. This is like a context that allows to export. So maybe if we want to export an object with the name or something like that, is we have to create after that. Or maybe let me see, because okay, no, let me see what can done. Okay, equals to name Chrysler, and after that try to export user. And as you can see, this is works. Let's import save, and as you can see, well, this changed the null prototype, but we have the object inside this index file. Is not longer just right there. We also have the object in this section, but we don't have the typing help because this is dynamic. So it's just like an any. And of course, if I'm not grown, I can't access like user. Let me try something. I don't know if this is going to throw an error, but let's see. We can import user directly is using like, I don't know, file like as an object. So let's use, and as you can see, we can access directly to the object that we are trying to export. So of course, in this syntax, we can export more than one object. So depending on that, and depending on the of the object name, we have to use the same name to import in the other side, as we used to do in this section. It's like import, I don't know, let me see, from roads, Chrysler. And if I try to complete, as you can see, we have user, but of course we already know what we want to import. But in this case, we don't know. We are trying to suppose that all the functions, well, all the files inside the roads folder are going to, or yeah, they are going to export user, or they are going to export road and handler. So yeah, we are getting touch, or we are understanding what I try to make. So in this case, let me see something. Okay, if you are not sure at all, remember you also can use, I don't know, object keys, if I'm not wrong, and use this one. And as you can see, we can access to the independent keys of the object file. In this case, we have user because we have the user. Remember, we are exporting the whole object. These keys just right there are not the object. This keys is just like the export context. This is the object, and the object is this thing just right there. So let me see, what can I do? Okay, let's try another one. For example, what happened if I try to use export default? Maybe it could change something. So in this case, is we're going to use export general, I don't know, and use type. In the other one, we are going to use root, and in this case, we are going to use export default. So let's see what happened when we use the default export default. and maybe at the beginning look similar, but just look similar because we are okay, they doesn't look similar. I already noticed. And as you can see, if we use default, we have a new key. It's the default key, but maybe it's not, this is not clear at all because we are exporting user, but we are receiving default instead of user. Okay, to make it clear, don't worry, default is when we use default, we are using another object inside the user object. It's like a, I don't know how to use this word in English. It's like a mask. So it's like a wrapper itself. So that means that we have the default property, and the default property it will save or contains the thing that we are trying to export. In this case, the user. So don't worry. I'm going to try to remove the object keys to see the object declaration itself. So let's save this one. And as you can see, in this case, okay, that's pretty clear. Let me just, okay. And as you can see, we have in the Chrysler the export general, and as it's pretty easy to understand. It's just like an object or wrapper that has the user, or well, the thing that I try to export directly, like user dot type and more. But if we use default, we have a extra layer, or yeah, maybe like an extra layer or a mask that grab the object itself. In this case, we have default. So in this case, if we want to, or if we want to accede to the thing that, or the stuff that I try to export using default, we have to access, well, we have to, yeah, access to the, or try to get into the default, and after that we can use user. So if we use the general way, is like in try to get directly to the property. But if we use default, we have to try to get into the default object, and after that the user. It's just like an extra object, and that's the big difference, because there is a difference. Because in JavaScript, or well, in the language itself, we can export by default and export general in the same file. That's the reason why we have this different. You didn't notice that because we are using one file to export general and another file to export, I'm sorry, export default. But what happened if, I don't know, try to export a default, no, try to export, just right there, try to export user like general. And as you can see, we don't have any errors because this is right. This is working. So let's save this one and save this one, and let's see what happened. Okay, we have an error, but this error is just for undefined. So let's try to see the object. And as you can see, we have the Chrysler, like I already done this section. We don't make any changes, but in the root, we have the user directly because we are exporting like general in a general way, and we have the default like because we are using the default, and that's the only difference when we try to export. And maybe if you want to be clear or organized with your structure, try to use the export default to use in a dynamically way, and try to use the the general maybe in a implicit, I'm sorry, an explicit way. It's like import curly brackets from, etc. So once we already understand how this works, let's try to implement this like yeah, like a wrote on endpoint at the end. So let me see. Well, this is pretty easy because if we use these like objects, we can export. For example, let me see something like that. Okay, let's start. For example, we can create an object called root, and inside this object we can create something like if I'm not wrong, the root property, in this case is Chrysler, and the handler. remember the handler has the request and response object and the logic itself. Remember also you can import requests, but important requests from express, not requests from the fetch API, because this fetch API is from Node.js, but we need the request express. And of course the response also from express. Once I save the file, this will automatically put type. And maybe if you want to know how how can I do this, it's just like in the open user settings using Control Shift P in your command palette, and I already have this configuration just right there for the TypeScript and general. If I'm not wrong, okay, this is TypeScript React, but as you can see, I have in TypeScript the default formatter biome.js.biome and code action of save, quit fix, source, and more. You can just copy this configuration and just make it in this way. But also remember install the biome. I don't know. I don't remember if I already this explanation, but yeah, you have the biome just right there, and also you need to install the development package. You read it. Okay, we don't have the development package, so in the next episode we are trying to configure the editor, so don't worry about it. So when we are already done, or we already have this object, try to export by default, and that's all. That's all. But I don't know. Let's try to hello from Chris Law. No, Chris Law. That's right. And let's try to copy this to the root. In this case is the well, the root could be the literally root, or just the root the slash, the beginning, the main path. So hello world from root, and I think that's all. And okay, let's see. And remember that in this section we don't know the type. We only have a file that is any, so we can type this. Of course we can use typing libraries, I'm sorry, checking type libraries like sort. Maybe we can include sort in next episode. So we are trying to make or just define the types in the I don't know, before compiling, I don't know how to say this, in the before compiling environment. In this way is when we use as and something like that. In this way we are going to use in this way, but this way is not strong at all, because this only works in the a coding phase, or before transpile, before production environment. That's trying to that is I'm trying to explain. On the other hand, we have the production environment, or the execution environment, when when TypeScript doesn't matters, and it only matters the objects and the things work. So we will see that in the next episode as well. So and as you can see, we have this from Chrysler. We have Chrysler and a function handler, and also we have this one. So that's pretty nice. In this case, I tried to use this file, and I don't remember. Okay, I can use this and type in this section, and use that we have first of all the default object, and thank you, thank you Copilot. We have this object right there. We have the default because we are exporting by default, and inside this object we have the root that is an string itself, and we have the handler that is a function that receives request and response object and return void. Again, this only works in the before compiling phase. If this object doesn't have the default, the root, and handler, this is going to throw an error. So uh, we will see in the future how to fix this using a executing a solution or something like that. Okay, so when we already have this, is just, well, we only have the app, the app, the app object. So I'm going to just comment this, and of course use this one to save in this way, app listen. And remember, I just move on the app listen to this at the end because we have to well, register or import the roots before we execute the app listen. If we try to register the endpoints after the listen, we are not going to register anything. So let me see because okay, I'm not familiar at all with this. Okay, app.get route and handler. So once we already inside the for off, so we can, I don't know, remove this. Okay, I have to remove this app listen. Okay, and just use the app. Okay, I can destructure this, of course, from route handler from file default and use app dot. Okay, this is important. I'm using this configuration like get, but remember that we have another HTTP methods like get, post, push, path, delete. uh, for this moment, we are going to suppose this is get, but it's something like this have to be solved in the future episodes. So get, and we have the route and the handler. And we already done the same that we did at the beginning, but we are saving each route inside a independent file. So once we already have this, or once this is done, let's save and see what happened. I'm going to use my Google Chrome navigator, and let's see, for example, localhost, and let's see. And as you can see, the application is working, of course, because maybe looks pretty difficult, but once you understand the logic behind the whole structure, it's pretty easy to understand. Because I already told you how to bring the files using this in the last episode. And also, well, I show you how to use the file name and the dir name because we are using S modules, and these variables are not longer available using S modules. This only works in CommonJS modules. I'm sorry, just CommonJS. And after that, we already see how to import modules dynamically. And of course, you can use this with Node.js packages and npm packages. So that's pretty amazing. But in this case, we are using only our own files. So, and as you can see, it's pretty easy. You understand in which scenarios we use default and which scenarios we use the object directly. Let me see something. File default. Okay, file default. I have a question. Okay, because we are exporting. Okay, this is important. I just noticed this at the end of the video, and it's important because, and as you can see, we don't have file.default.route. Why? Because we are export the object directly. Let's see what happened when I try to export the route in this way. This doesn't, this will not, well, this won't be work because we are using like a wrapper. So that means we have the default object, and also we have a route object. So this pretty different. As you can see, we have an error. This error doesn't make sense, but that's the reason why we have this error. We can correct this error pretty easy if we make the same change in the other path, and also we use file.default.route. And of course, we have to change the type route just like this. And let me see if I am grown. Okay, I have to save this in another. Okay, I'm sorry, just right there. Okay, you're right there, of course. And as you can see, the application is working again. Just why? Just because, of course, we use, and we have the Chrysler, of course, because we export in this way. Maybe to make it simple, and once you already understand why is the difference between export default using the brackets and without the brackets, I prefer using the object directly because we are only export the object. We are not export something more. So we can remove this one as we already have, and well, correct this one. We have to remove this use right there and this use right there, and remove the road, and all is working again. Okay, we are going to use save all files, go back, and as you can see, our application is work successfully. I don't know if it's successful or successfully, but I hope this video was helpful. I hope you understand how works the dynamic importations, and how you can access the file depending if we are using general exports or by default exports, and also what is the difference when we export the object directly. This is also applied to the general export, but it's pretty different because the general export also is an object, but if you export an object directly without curly bracket is this, you also can access directly to the object attributes without the object reference. So that's pretty nice to know. So I hope this video was helpful, and see you in the next time, where we are going to continue, maybe, I don't know, with, well, this is working, so I can remove this. And of course, maybe in the next episode we are going to try to configure the linter that I highly recommend Biome. So I hope this video was helpful, and see you in the next time. Bye bye.